thank you very much for your time. My name is Brad Rourke. I'm the president and CEO of Scottie Resources. Of course, I'm going to be making forward-looking statements, and I'll probably make more than I ever have, only because I have to be careful with, I'm in the middle of a merger, I'm in the middle of a financing, so I'll just cover myself. Everything's going great, but we will be making a forward-looking statements for sure. Scottie Resources is a junior exploration company situated in northwest British Columbia in what's known as the Golden Triangle. Two things that brought me to this opportunity, I'm going into my 6th year, but I was kicking this around in 2014, 2015. But the two pieces of information that brought me to this was a past producing gold mine, and it recovered over a half ounce per ton in the early 80s. My due diligence suggested that it was economics at the time that shut this mine down. Gold rolled over from 700 to 300 really quick. But Scottie took a $20 million facility from the Royal Bank of Canada, paying 22% interest. So when the commodity price rolled over, it was just very, very difficult. The second piece of information that brought me to this was at the time, Tritium was building the Bruce Jack mine, and they were building a $50 million power line that went right alongside of the Scottie gold. So that's why I got involved in this initially. And those two are some of the biggest, some of the biggest factors of why I'm here and still equally excited today. What I'd like to point out in the area is seeing an awful lot of attention. I've lived most of my adult life in the area and have been kicking around, I was in SNP, I think, in 89. So what I've seen in even in this last 9 months of these difficult times, there's an awful lot of activity happening within our little area. Of course, we have some great stories. We're being with Seabridge, being the world's largest gold deposit. Tritium is the largest single producing asset on the planet Earth, producing 350,000 ounces per year. SCOT's been making an awful lot of news as of recent, and they're my neighbors to the south. But they've basically raised all the money they need to put that mine back into production, the old Premier mine. And then just recently, within the last few weeks, Yamana bought a 7% stake. So lots going on with SCOT. And they've put a team together over the last 3 years of Derek White, knows how to build mines. And I get a front row seat. They're working hard. So we're really excited they're having some success. GT Gold just sold to Newmont. That's a $450 million transaction. Great. Skeena's in the news all the time, just closed another $50 million financing, and just having great news. And SK Mining, there's so many great stories, but that's important for us because we need the whole area to be successful and put the attention on the area. So I'm really happy to see that type of activity, and I haven't seen that in 25 years. Now, this will be post-merger, and this is where these forward-looking statements come in. Because I'm in the middle of a merger, that we have all the confidence in the world, we'll proceed. We obviously looked with our bigger shareholders on both companies to make sure this was something they thought. And so, as you can see in the yellow, this is what the total Scottie land package will officially look like in probably about a month's time from now. And as you can see, it's a commanding land position. And it's what I'm going to explain. It's also geologically relevant. So we're excited that we've, decided to get bigger. We thought size matters for us for a whole host of reasons. And they seem to be playing out, knock on wood. But a lot of great things have been happening, even since we've just announced this merger in the last couple of weeks. And as you can see, SCOT's a great story, Tritium, and then you can see how Scottie's right in the mix of everything, with roads going through it and such. Another big plus that we have is the infrastructure. That's our all-season road that goes to Scottie gold mine. You can see the power line right there. 45 kilometers down the road from Scottie is the town of Stewart, which actually has 2 terminals for deep water shipping, whether it's a container or bulk transport. So the infrastructure that we have in the area is better than it's ever been. And then, of course, the actual infrastructure at Scottie is equally impressive. because we have a mining permit. We have 7 kilometers of tunnels. You can still push the locomotives up and down the railroad tracks, and the flotation tanks are still holding water. We're not pretending we're going mining, but we think those attributes make us unique and might be interesting to somebody down the road. Here's a photograph of the original 400 hectares when I got involved with the Scottie gold mine. Scottie gold mine is inside that mountain, and then there's 7 kilometers worth of tunnels and such. Because of time issues, we really can't start talking about geology, but I just want to point out a few things to what I will be speaking about. On your right-hand side, you see the A portal. That's kind of where the blueberry zone is. Again, this is Scottie gold mine, and then if you went right over top of the mountain on the other side, it's called the Domino zone, and we'll see if that makes sense in a moment. So we've completed 2 seasons of drilling, albeit somewhat small. In 2019, we did the very first drill program that we've done at 2,000 meters, and we basically tested 2 of those zones. We didn't drill Domino until 2020, but overall in the last 2 years, we've drilled a total of 9,000 meters. And as you can see, we're highlighting some of those successes, and they're quite exceptional. And in fact, I couldn't put them all, but we've had even a lot more than that. Of course, I've highlighted some of the better ones. But as you can see, 2 kilometers from the Scottie gold mine in the center of your screen, right on strike is the Domino zone. We had some great success, meaning we found geology on strike to where what was happening with Scottie gold mine. Fantastic. Even though we might not have hit the widths we liked, all the information that we wanted to see is there, and we certainly are not deterred and excited to get back in there for this season. The blueberry zone has really surprised us, and I'll speak about that a little bit more, but it's something new, of a new discovery for us, and we're really excited. And we're going to probably do 40% of our drill program this season at blueberry. And then, of course, the Scottie gold mine, we've been out in the past, it was mostly just production drilling. So we've stepped out and done real exploration drilling in and around, trying to model the geometry of these things. And we're having great success with some fantastic intercepts. But I please encourage you to reach out, and I'd love to speak more about our geology, time permitting. I will point out one thing on the blueberry zone, just to kind of show what we're really excited about it. We bought this piece of land for $1 million for that yellow vein that you see. And in 2019, we drilled on the drill trace with the dark blue line on your right-hand side. We were trying to tag that vein, and well in advance, we hit this broad zone of mineralization that surprised us, and ended up in 2019, our last hole of the year. We found this intercept of 7.5 grams over 34 meters, and it's near surface. So we followed up on that in 2020. And as you can see, we found a whole host of this new north-south trending situation that we were not aware of, and we're excited to follow up on. If you look quickly on the left, you can see we also have high-grade samples to the south and north. So we are really going to really lean into that this year. It's right on the road. You can look at this with more of a different lens than you would with Scottie, where Scottie's certainly an underground mine, mesothermal, high-grade, small width veins. This actually has a different type of signature. So we're looking, in a open pit type of frame of mind, but as you can see, great intercepts and all very, very close to surface. So we're excited to get at that. Again, I'm just going to go through these quick because I can spend too much time on just these slides. This is the Scottie gold mine. You can see the underground workings in light blue. But I want to show the drill traces just to show that we're actually stepping out and really, really trying to do property exploration rather than just kind of go at some known hot spots, so to speak. And again, we're encouraged as all heck. It's working out well. We'll be following up on the successes we had last year, and there's some pretty phenomenal intercepts. 109 grams over 2.53 meters, and that's a 30-meter step out from any drill hole that's ever happened in around the ozone. So again, we have lots and lots of smoke to follow up on. And then this is over top of the mountain on the other side, called the Domino zone. And this was new to us. We drill tested it for the first time last year. We were very encouraged with the mineralization that we found, but more importantly, knowing that it's right on strike of the actual vein that produced at Scottie, that produced a 0.5 ounce per ton. We have mineralization on strike. This last season we did IP. None of this stuff had done before. We expanded that zone. So we're about 900 meters by 450 meters wide of extreme high grades all over the place. And then you can trace that back on strike to Scottie, where we can make a story. We have 3 kilometers of strike there. So we did IP for the very first time. We've got some exciting targets to follow up, and we're just copying how SCOT was getting some of their successes. So this is our blue sky, but again, equally as excited to get onto that as we were last season. With the transaction in AUX, they also had some pretty interesting results from last season. And this is the past producing Georgia River mine that operated right before World War II, and it was a Guggenheim mine. But there was some exciting intercepts that happened from last year's. We didn't drill it. It hadn't been drilled since 1990. There's a non-compliant resource on Georgia River of about 260,000 ounces of high-grade ounces. And so the work that AUX did last year, they did kind of 150 meters north, came up with 126 grams over 1.1 meters, 103 grams over 2.74 meters. And so we'll be following up on that below the mine and above the mine for this season. So equally exciting. So we'll be drilling that this year. But we inherit this with the transaction. And then why it really made sense to try and put Scottie and AUX together was we both own these what we call the Cambria, but all the lands just kind of fit together like a glove. And Scottie owned about 50% of that, and AUX kind of had all these obscure pieces all in around it. But when we put it together, it made a lot of sense. Also, there's 5 past producing mines on that new tenure, albeit a lot of them are from the old days when they picked it out with shovels and picks, but extremely high grade, more polymetallic, and some fantastic silver showings. But the fact that we were able to put, and this is a combination of probably 6 or 7 deals over the last 5 years, but we really can take a 30,000 foot view and look at these lands from a different view than we would. And of course, 68 documented showings. And so we get to look at this a little differently for this year. And we're going to drill test it this year, but our focus still is going to be Scottie. The Independence in the Silver Crown lands is where we're going to drill test this season. And we've got a little bit of information that makes us encouraged to do so. So for 2021, what are we going to accomplish this year? Again, the mergers will be officially done in maybe a month's time. And I'm also involved in a bought deal financing that I had no clue was going to happen. But a day after we put this news out there, merging the companies, all of a sudden the phone started ringing, and I've never been offered a bought deal before, but if you look at who it comes from and what other deals they have done, it was a deal I couldn't refuse. But looking forward to where we are today, or what are we going to do? And we're starting in about a month's time. Is we're going to do at least 16,000 meters of drilling, 12,500 at Scottie, maybe 3,000 in around that Cambria Independence area, and 1,500 to 2,000 at the Georgia River. We're going to continue with the IP programs. We got a good feel for it last year, and so we're going to really expand that on select drill targets. And we're going to do a downhole EM at Scottie. Scottie's a peritite, pyrite-rich system. EM really shows up well, and so we're excited to kind of really zero in on some of this geometry, and hopefully that works. So we've got a full season ahead of us. What I don't want to leave out and is the people involved with this. Again, we won't spend too much time, but these are the highlights of my board. Nobody knew each other before Scottie. It truly is independent. Nobody knew anybody, and you can see the success and just ask yourselves, why would these guys attach their horse to this wagon? I can tell you it's been a blessing, and I truly run the company via the board, because between Ernie and John, no matter how old I get, I won't be able to accumulate the experience those two have. Again, the investment highlights, if you're looking for the right jurisdiction to work in, I think we have that in spades. There's so much going on. Infrastructure, we have power right at site. We can drive right to our property for the most part, and we have a lot of skid drilling as well. Again, we've accumulated a large enough package that we think will be interesting to bigger partners, and that's starting to play out already a lot quicker than we thought. We've got the horses, we've got a great team, and a strong cash position. Now that cash position is just after the post-merger, but with this bought deal financing, Scottie should be sitting on just over $12 million cash. So we're well financed. Now this one, again, goes into the forward-looking area, but you can see pre and post-merger. And what we will see when I totally make this chart proper is that institution side is going to widen considerably when you know that the same large shareholders of AUX happen to be the same large shareholders of Scottie, whether it's Eric Sprott owned 20% of AUX, Swiss Family Office owns 10% of both entities. Rest assured, we were consulting with these people to see if they thought this was a great idea, and so far so good.